Jason, are you ready for the best of 3 soccer series that's coming this weekend?
No and yes and maybe all at the same time. Like, I think
Ready to narrow
this
yes, no,
I
and
know,
maybe.
I've
Right.
narrowed it down. I'm
Yeah.
covering all of my bases to mix my metaphor. I've got all the corners covered. That's hockey. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Okay. I I want more soccer in my life.
Mm.
Like, that's a thing. Like, I crave it. Like, it's a desperation thing. Like, you're when you're in this, you find yourself just wanting more soccer. And technically speaking, Robert, this is more soccer, right? When we're saying, like, okay, the MLS Cup playoffs, what have they been like in the past? I mean, there were times when, how many formats have we? Can we count the formats? Like, I don't know if I have enough fingers to count MLS Cup playoff formats. One point we had the standard home and away, 2-game aggregate tie where it was aggregate score lines determined who'd advanced. In the past, we've had series. It's been a long time, but in the past, we had series in the very early days of MLS. We had that single elimination tournament for a long time. Like, it felt like that one was the way to go for a long time. And it brought the drama, right? It brought a lot of energy. Top seed, hosting the lower seed, one game, boom, done. That was fun. But this one means that there's going to be, like, you're building drama within this round. I think it's weird we're doing best of 3 and then we go to single elimination after that, but
Oh, it's
but
only
still,
this first round that's a
it's
series?
only this first round is a series. In fact, I have the playoff format page up on MLSsoccer.com. That's a throwback for USS listeners back in the day. All right, so round 1 is best of 3 series. Conference semifinal, single elimination matches hosted by the higher seed. There will be, and this is another difference. In the best of 3 series, there is no extra time at the end of 90 minutes. If you are drawn level at the end of 90 minutes, you go straight to a penalty kick shootout to determine who wins that game in the series. So I think I laid this out before, but you could go goalless in the series and win the series. You can go goalless. You could lose. I don't even got, like, you could, obviously, if you keep 2 clean sheets, you'd have to keep 2 clean sheets in that process in order to have a chance, because you'd have to be 0-0 after 90 minutes twice and win 2 penalty kick shootouts to advance. But you could obviously get skunked in the other game 5-0 and still advance because you kept it scoreless and you got to penalty. It's a weird one. So we have no extra time, penalty kicks to determine winners in the best of 3. Then in the conference semifinals, you do play extra time, and then obviously penalty kicks after that if you're still level. And then it's the same in the conference finals, and then obviously MLS Cup final is at the higher seed, 1 game for all the marbles.
I really wish you wouldn't provide the coaches and the leadership of these teams with the idea to drag these first games. I'm not even sure what to expect from these first games. Are the away teams just going to make it as ugly and dirty as possible and just, like, try to kill 90 minutes and, get to
Yeah.
that? Or are they
Yeah.
actually going to play genuine ball? I mean, that's where the pluses and minuses of an aggregate system are. But just having the 3 games set to the first round, that makes me think that was purely for where could we slip in games
Oh, yeah.
within, like, the
Oh, yeah.
scheduling. That's
Oh,
all,
yeah. This
all
the
scheduling
the
based.
best of 3 series is entirely about giving Apple TV more games to put on the channel or,
Yeah.
or on the service, right? That's what this is about. You can rationalize all you want, and I know the competition people at MLS, they could give us some rationale for this that sounds good. Like, well, this ultimately determines the team that is in best form. It gives the higher seed a true advantage through multiple games. If they have one bad game, they don't get knocked out. So the higher seed with 2 games at home, that you could do that. But we all know what this is about. It doesn't mean it's completely invalid, right? Mitch said it makes no sense. It's perfect for MLS. It does feel
Thank you,
like
Mitch.
that, right? Right. It feels like this is MLS throwing darts at a board or this is a Jackson Pollock painting of a playoff format. This is what we got here.
With the best of 3, I think that eliminates more of the possibility of an upset or of a Cinderella. It's like basketball. Like
Yeah.
a lower seeded basketball team can win one random game, but they're not going to win 4 against the superior one. And I think
Yeah.
that weeding out the maybe the lower seed teams it's almost like a filter sort of system. If we're going to,
That
give them silver lining for competitiveness.
There's something to that, and if you're gonna argue that the MLS regular season doesn't mean enough or hasn't meant enough in the past, then maybe this is some you can weave your way to, well, the best of 3 series in the first round proper gives the higher seed a significant advantage, which makes the regular season matter more. Mike Thomas, our man Mike Thomas, is also pointing out that the owners of lower seeded teams wanted playoff ticket home game revenue, right?
Yeah.
One, if you get out of the wild card, if you're an 8 or 9 team, or you're one of those teams in spot 5, 6, and 7, you are guaranteed 1 playoff home game. You might lose the series, you might not advance to the next round, and if you're already lower seeded, you're probably not getting a game in that next round anyway, most of those teams, but you are guaranteed 1 playoff home game. And again, that sort of splits the difference where it's like, well, this gives some value to the regular season, forces teams to really go for it so they can get home field advantage in the best of 3 series, and at the same time gives a home game to the lower seeds, a la the 2-game aggregate series that we used to do, which you could argue wasn't enough of an advantage for the higher seed.
I do like that point about the lower seed getting the playoff game, because it kind of rewards the folks that came out for that, quote unquote playoff push to get them into those lower seeds. Because I recall when I was covering Chicago Fire in the Schweinsteiger Nikolic season, when they did make the play-in game, and there was all this excitement. Yeah, oh my goodness, Chicago Fire made it to the playoffs. They lost on the road in the first game, and they never actually got to really appreciate it. It was kind of a wet whoopee cushion of an experience for those kind of fans to get the little bit of a bump to make the playoffs, but never actually see.
I mean, and that's the tension that MLS has built into it, right? It's a growing league with a sport that is fighting for attention in America and fighting to get fans engaged. And if you are purely about the competitive integrity of the league and trying to make sure that the higher seed has a significant advantage and et cetera, et cetera. And then Chicago never gets a home game in the playoffs, and therefore there's no real boost of energy or attention for the Fire when they actually do make the playoffs. You're hurting your overall big picture growth for the league, even as you're actually, again, sort of making sure the regular season matters, and it's important to go get the higher seed so you get the home playoff game so you can have a possibility of advancing. I mean, I can see it both ways. The purist in me says value, make it important that you finish higher, right? Increase the value of the regular season by giving the home team or the higher seed a significant advantage. And if you do single elimination, that's the problem. You just described the problem that we have with that in a country, again, where, who knows if the Fire are ever going to make the playoffs again, right? That may have been their one shot. And but the thing you can't say, well, let's take away some of the advantage from the higher seed, or let's build in a system that always rewards the lower seed with something significant if it's not going to actually give us a worthy champ. I mean, that again, this is the tension that's built into all of this.
And are we really doing American sports if we don't reward the lower teams? I mean,
that's what we do.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
That said, so this first game of the first round best of 3 series starts tonight, and the games kick off on Friday night, Inter Miami versus Atlanta, and are spread across until Tuesday with the final first game of the series. But let's start off.
It's a stretch, isn't it? It's a bit of a yeah. It was like, can we not figure out a way to maybe make this a little bit more compact time wise? I mean, it is a lot of games. I get it. And you want to sort of highlight the games individually because they are supposed to be your most important matches. But it does feel like we're starting on Friday and we finish on Tuesday for game 1 for everybody. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. So Inter Miami versus the just played Atlanta United. They went all the way until penalty kicks midweek, taking on the record-breaking team. Can Atlanta make any waves in Florida tonight?
Yeah, that's they have been okay against Inter Miami, maybe better than most teams. This is a wild season for Atlanta. This isn't the team that had Almada and Giakoumakis. So it's have they figured it out with Yari up front? And, is Miranchuk coming along in the way that they want him to after they brought him in this summer? I think this is just too incomplete a team in Atlanta. I mean, they had a very nice night in a couple of moments against Montreal, they obviously also conspired to give up 2 goals to give Montreal a chance in that game with the howler from Guzan and the penalty kick that they gave up. I think Miami probably takes this. They're rested. They've got they've got the best player on the planet and some of his buds who are pretty good. I don't think Atlanta really has much of a shot in this game tonight. In Atlanta, I could see them finding a way to win. But in this game, I think it's Miami all the way.
I'm interested to see. Do you think Atlanta? They scored one of their goals midweek in that wild card game. They had a 45 pass sequence or so.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're capable of doing that against this Miami team?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at this Miami team and you think, oh, you know what they do? They close down passing lanes and they'll break up things and they'll press and re-win the ball. No, not really. That's not really what they do, right? They're not completely one-sided in terms of attack over defending, but I don't think that anybody thinks of Miami as a defensive juggernaut. Atlanta, if they can keep the ball, can do that. Now, of course, you might still give up 4 or 5 to Inter Miami because that's how good Inter Miami is. Again, and let's say the dumbest possible analysis thing we can, Robert, which is they need to mark Lionel Messi if they want to win this game. They have to find a way to not let him sit in pockets where he gets his head up or the guy again against the Revs. Okay, the Revs are bad, but against the Revs on the final day, Lionel Messi comes in a second half substitute. How on earth is he standing around just waiting to receive the ball, play a one-touch pass, and make the run in behind to finish? Like, how is that a thing? But then again, he's magical that way. He's got some skill.
You get too close to him, and he'll go around you or pass around you.
That's
and if
true.
you don't close him out, he's gonna, lace a belter into the top corner.
He can also do that.
It's
He
really,
can also do that.
do or do not. But as far as the schedule, it's funny. When we come back on Monday's show, we can still preview these first games. Funnily enough,
That's right.
We'll still be previewing come then. So I'll just talk about the games between now and Monday. So tonight, obviously, Miami and Atlanta. Saturday night, the 26th, the Galaxy versus Colorado. And then Sunday night is Los Angeles FC versus Vancouver. Which one of those LA games? Okay, and there's 2 games on Sunday. Pardon me.
Well, I mean, we got
Orlando and Charlotte as well.
Yeah, you've got Orlando, Charlotte out east as well. So no game in the East tomorrow, right? But 2 games on Sunday, East and West, and then Cincinnati and NYCFC coming into the new. I think I'm interested to see if Vancouver has actual momentum on Sunday and figures out a way to do something in LA. And I think Vinny Sartini is a very crafty manager. I don't know that team's good enough to beat LAFC over 3 games, but they walked into Providence Park and housed the Timbers. Why wouldn't they feel good about themselves? If they can keep themselves in that game, and if they don't make any silly turnovers and give LAFC the opportunity to hit them on the break, that could be very competitive. It really could. I'm not going to pick Vancouver to win the game, but it could be really competitive.